So how much vitamin D should you be taking? Let's see if we can find out. Hi, my name's Conroy. Welcome to Happy Stuff of Love, a channel for women over 50 who are getting happy and growing younger. If you haven't yet joined us, please subscribe. We'd love to have you with us. And please share this video on all your socials if you think you know someone who could benefit from this information. You know, I am becoming evangelical about it. I know some of you have suggested that already. And yes, I am, I guess. Vitamin D, I've talked about it before, way back in May. I'll leave a link here to the video. We talked about vitamin D in relation to it helping with coronavirus. I'm wondering why nobody was talking about it or taking it on board. Well, and I also did a Facebook Live about it. What I didn't mention in those two, or any time I talk about it actually, is the dose of how much I take. And there's a reason for that really, but I am going to do it today with a few caveats. I'll tell you what I'm taking. But it's come to my attention when I've been talking about this that people are not taking vitamin D because they can't understand how just taking a vitamin over the counter can help in any way, when this is obviously a rampant, vicious thing that we're struggling with. The very idea that you could just get a vitamin and take it is going to solve the problem or cure coronavirus is beyond belief. I understand that. But the misunderstanding there is, you see, for me, I've always believed, I mean, certainly in positive psychology, in terms of our mental health and well-being, I believe we have our own answers. We just have to dig deep or get some help to get those own answers to the surface. I think it's the same with the human body. I mean, the human body is absolutely amazing, and I do believe that in a lot of cases, left to its own devices, it will help itself. And this is the key. You're not taking vitamin D to cure coronavirus or any of those things. What you're doing is taking vitamin D to balance your own immune system so that it can be top-notch ready to fire on all these infections, including coronavirus. If your immune system is working as it should and is in healthy balance, then you stand more of a chance of fighting off these infections. And that's what I believe vitamin D does. Now, we know that 70%, if not more, of the world's population is vastly deficient in vitamin D for all kinds of reasons. But certainly for us in this part of the world, I'm in the north of England, we just don't get the sunshine to be able to create our own vitamin D at the levels that we need for optimum health. That's the first thing. But there are all kinds of other reasons why we are deficient. I've talked about it in here, and I think most of you are probably aware of that. But just in case you are in any doubt that you should be taking vitamin D, just let me tell you about some recent research that came out of Boston University. And let me read this because, you know, for us women over 50, it's more important. You know, we are in, well, let me finish, first of all. Okay, so they found in the study that they did that in patients older than 40 who had sufficient levels of vitamin D, they were more than 51% less likely to die than people who were deficient in vitamin D. This is of coronavirus. So, in patients older than 40, those who had sufficient levels of vitamin D were 51% less likely to die than those who were deficient. And because vitamin D deficiency is so widespread, and they say especially in children, but in this video and when I've talked about it since, one of the things that first came out were, how strange that older people and non-white people seem to be catching this more quickly and suffering from it worse than others. who are the two groups that are more likely to be deficient in vitamin D? Older people and people with darker coloured skin, non-white people, because their creation of vitamin D is less efficient than ours is. The darker the skin, the more at risk you are because of this vitamin D issue. Okay, so because vitamin D deficiency is so widespread, especially in children, and I would add in older people and non-white people, but all of us in general, it is prudent for everyone to take a vitamin D supplement. Now get this, to take a vitamin D supplement to reduce the risk of being infected in the first place, to reduce having complications once you have it, and to reduce the risk of death. This is major. It's absolutely major. But even if we weren't talking about coronavirus, what I was saying before about your immune system, having the correct or the optimum levels of vitamin D helps to protect against a whole range of diseases, including heart disease. It is absolutely a no-brainer. There's no question. You should be taking vitamin D. Okay. Where the confusion comes and the question comes in, how much vitamin D should you be taking, is the dose of it. And this is why up until now I haven't kind of said, oh, well, I'm taking this. Remember, I am not a doctor, nor am I a nutritionist. Let me get that out there. So let's just have a look then. When you buy vitamin D, you'll see on the jar, for example, you'll see the measurement of it. Now, unfortunately, it's measured in international units, or it can be measured in micrograms. Okay, so this one is IU. You'll see a number and then IU, which is international units, or MCG, which is micrograms. So 1,000 international units is 25 micrograms. Okay, that's an easy. 1,000 international units is 25 micrograms. Now, certainly in the United Kingdom, the recommended daily allowance when you're taking a supplement is 400 international units, which equates to 10 micrograms. Okay, at the moment, that's the daily recommended intake. Now, the problem we have is, if I said to you, oh, yes, you should be taking so many micrograms of it, we can't do that, because although we know we're all deficient in vitamin D, we're all different in how we absorb it. Okay, so you might need more than I do, or you might need less than I do. Your body might be efficient at absorbing vitamin D, more efficient than mine. Now, this is important, it takes a while for vitamin D to elevate in your system. So you couldn't kind of wait until you become infectious with something, let's not talk about coronavirus, anything, and then think, oh, I need to take vitamin D. That's not going to work, because it's going to take a few days, maybe even weeks for you to get your level of vitamin D in your system elevated to its optimum, which is why it's prudent to start taking it now when you're not infectious. Okay, to give your body a chance to get back to normal levels. That's the first thing. But then there are many factors involved in whether or how you are absorbing it. So, for example, if there's anything at all wrong with your gut, anything whatsoever, any issues in your gut, then the chances are you're taking vitamin D and it's taking a long time to get from your gut into the rest of your system. So if there's anything wrong with your gut in that sense, we've talked about the colour of your skin, we've talked about, where you live and how much sunshine you get, but also whether you are overweight. So the more subcutaneous fat you have on your body, the longer it's going to take for vitamin D to get into your system. And of course, how old you are, because as with absolutely everything, it all disappears and gets more difficult the older you get. We know this. So, that's why we're kind of in not the danger zone. I think over 65, is it the danger zone? I'm not sure. But anyway, more so the older you get. Younger people absorb it quicker. So you can see that it's not a kind of one size fits all. And so if you have any issues of the ones I've mentioned, and obviously you're not just going to start taking masses of vitamin D without speaking to your doctor, I hope, if you do have any of those issues. And of course, if your doctor isn't on it and doesn't really know what's happening, then chances are he's going to say, well, the recommended daily allowance is 400 international units, and that's blah, 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 and so on. Okay, so if he's on it though, he's going to know, and if he knows looks in your files, and if you have any of these issues, then he might be able to say to you, you should probably take a little bit more, and so on, obviously. Depends on your doctor. The interesting thing, however, you may or may not know that Matt Hancock, who is the Health Secretary in the UK, came out with some blithering nonsense, and I'm not being political here. He came out with information that was incorrect, let's put it that way, and now he's been put right and pointed in the right direction to where all the evidence is, including that piece from Boston University about the use of vitamin D. Doctors and researchers now are encouraging the government in the UK to increase that recommended daily allowance to 10 times more and above than it is at the moment. So recommended daily allowance is 400 IUs. Research and doctors are encouraging the government to increase that to 4,000 international units. They want it up to 4,000 and above, depending on what kind of, what your body is like and whether you need more than 4,000 international units. Now, I'm taking 5,000. I'm taking 5,000 international units every day, as is Mr. Kitchen. But we didn't start on that. I mean, we've been taking vitamin D for a long time because I knew we were deficient in it, living where we do, but only in small amounts. And so now I don't know whether this was necessary to do, but I felt for us that to go from 400 and jump straight to 5,000 was probably not a good idea. I could be completely wrong. But what we did was we went from 400, we started on 1,000 IU, then we went to 2,000. And then we started taking 5,000, and we did that quite quickly actually, and never had any effect. And of course, I've since learned that in order to have any kind of toxic effect from taking vitamin D, you'd have to be taking 50,000 IU a day or above, and sustaining that for some months before you'd get any kind of effect. So we're taking 5,000 international units every day, but we built it up slowly. And as I've said, I'm not suggesting that you take 5,000 because 5,000 a day, because I don't know what your system is like or what other issues you may have. I guess that's the first thing you need to do. Perhaps, certainly in the UK, when you go to see the doctor and they do a blood test, I think automatically they look at vitamin D because they know we're likely to be deficient in it. Wherever you are in the world, they may not do that. They might do now. And so you could see where you are in that sense, then start taking the vitamin D or take their advice. They may say to you, you need a little bit more than, and then you can start taking vitamin D and maybe go back in a few months and keep doing that until you know that your level of vitamin D is optimal for optimal health. Are you taking vitamin D? Please tell me in the comments box below. I want you to take it, but obviously I want you to find out how much you should be taking for you before you do that, because I want you to stay safe. And I think, it's a simple, relatively inexpensive way of giving you the best chance of not getting or not struggling. Obviously, I'm not saying you're not going to get coronavirus, but there's a very good chance, there's less chance you're going to get it, and a very good chance that you're going to be able to deal with it better and not die. No brainer. Okay, I'll leave it there, and I promise I won't talk about vitamin D anymore unless you ask me questions about it. Yeah, I jumped in with this actually this week. I wasn't meant to be doing vitamin D this week at all, but because of these conversations I'm having, I just thought I wanted to sneak this in, just in case you were having any of the similar thoughts. Okay, I'll leave it there, and I'll see you next time. And until then, please stay safe, and remember that on the Happy Stuff Fluff, we're getting happy and growing younger. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.